it's not even
The court
narration, but
case?
what's that? Sorry.
Well, like the journal, the
Yeah,
court case.
the internal dialogue, right? It felt very much there's great sort of internal dialogue that happens in Memento as well. The way that Guy Pearce, you really are understanding what's going on in that character's head,
Where am I? Am I
and
chasing him? No, wait, he's chasing me.
he's chasing me. Yeah, classic. And that you get that from Hugh Jackman in this film. And actually, it's interesting because the way that the dialogue is read, sort of the pace and the intonation, it sounds very similar to Guy Pearce in Memento. And I don't know, it really kind of gets you in his head and gives you that feeling of the obsession that this guy has with this trick and with this act and with this craft. That was another element that I really, really loved, was that internal dialogue from Hugh Jackman.
It's good storytelling.
Yeah.
It's well written. It's getting an expository dialogue. It's getting information out there. That journal's in his hand, so he's gonna read it. But then it's part of the trick, and so it's all just a it's a you know what I think this works, right? As much as I adore Tenet, I can see how people would hate it. This movie, I don't think it's cute with its twists and turns. And I don't think it's that confounding. I think this is before these two maybe have gotten bigger and a little bit maybe more cute and precious about how they write. I find this movie to be very straightforward and ish, right, for Nolan. But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
I
I
think
agree.
that yeah.
I agree. So where does this movie rank? Like, I'd be interested to know, because again, yeah, I'm definitely an unabashed Nolan fan. He's my favorite filmmaker for sure. For you, where does this, like, what would you say if you were to give me your top 5 Nolan films? What do you think his best film is?
Okay. So I just want to say real quick on Movies, Films, and Flicks Facebook, I reached out and I asked people, hey, what are your favorite Nolan films? And resoundingly, I would say 1, 2, and 3, it's Memento and Prestige, or Prestige and Memento. Then it's either Dark Knight or Batman Begins.
Right.
There was a couple for Inception, but for the most part, let's see, Memento, Dark Knight, Memento, Prestige, Prestige, Memento, Dark Knight, Memento, Memento, Batman Begins, Prestige, Prestige. So for
Hmm.
me, like I'm not trying to be the hipster with my votes, right? I'm not trying to be, I don't know. It's like someone says Jaws 2 is better than Jaws. Like that's just, you've lost your mind.
Yeah.
But I guess if I had to pick top 5, I'm gonna put it in the way that I would watch them. Like, would I want to watch them again and again and again? So for me, it's Memento because it's what 90 minutes.
Yep.
It's Prestige because I don't think it gets old. Then I would have to say, oh man, it's like, do you want filet mignon or filet mignon?
Yeah.
Uh, okay, so it's not going to be Following. It's not going to be Insomnia. It's not going to be Dark Knight Rises. And I adore Interstellar, but it's not going to be Interstellar, which leaves me with Tenet, Dunkirk, Dark Knight, and Batman
Inception.
Begins and
And
Inception.
Inception.
I don't think about Inception. Inception is just so massive to me that it just the movies I want to watch are like hangout pictures. I don't know, and I know that sounds crazy, but like A Knight's Tale, like those are the kind of movies I love watching over and over. So Inception, I'm gonna take out because it's just so timey and twisty and turny, and it's beautiful. But okay, I'll do Batman Begins because it's super traditional with the narrative. I'll do. People are gonna think I'm crazy for leaving out Dark Knight, but like people talking about Joker all the time has just soured me, and that's not Nolan's fault. But you know what? I'll add Tenet and Dunkirk. So I'll
Cool.
say Memento, Prestige, Batman Begins, Tenet, and Dunkirk. And people are like, Mark, you said Tenet. You know how crazy that is, and you just said Inception's too crazy. Like you've lost your mind. But yeah, that's my top 5.
Cool.
What's yours?
Mine's really different. So for me, I am gonna put. I wrestled with 1 and 2 for the longest time, and I still feel this way. I would say that Inception is my favorite movie that I ever saw in theaters. Like I can remember walking out of that theater just with my mind absolutely blown, thinking, yeah, that was the greatest film I had ever seen. But since I've had kids and I have daughters, um,
Interstellar?
that father-daughter relationship in Interstellar, I connect with that in such a personal way, and the fact that it's their love for each other and their relationship like saves the world essentially. Their connection, the fact that she never gave up hope that her dad was going to come back one day. Yeah, man, I can barely hold it together thinking thinking about that.
Wow.
She says at the end when she's like an old lady in the hospital bed, he says, "How did you know that it was me?" And she said, "I knew that my dad would come back." Like, yeah, man. And Hans Zimmer's score in Interstellar. I mean, we didn't really talk much about the score. I really enjoyed the score in Prestige, but when Nolan and Hans Zimmer, when that partnership formed, which I think their first movie together was Dark Knight, that to me really took Nolan's movies to a whole new level. And so for me, it's Interstellar #1, Inception #2, Dark Knight #3. And again, I think Hans Zimmer actually plays a big role. He does the score for all three of those films, and the score in each of them is incredible. Dark Knight's #3 because I really do think that for me, like, I'm not a big superhero movie guy, but that to me is the best superhero movie ever made and changed that entire genre. So yeah, Dark Knight for sure. Memento #4, and I'll put Prestige as #5.
So we have two. That's good. I mean, two of the same movies in there. I guess I just like lo-fi, but Tenet is not lo-fi at all. But my top two, Memento and Prestige, I guess it's like me with Wes Anderson, where I love Bottle Rocket. I love Rushmore. I adore the Royal Tenenbaums.
Quirky movies.
Yeah, as much as I love the French Dispatch and Grand Budapest Hotel and Moonrise Kingdom, as beautiful as they are, I mean, I love them all. I own all the Criterion. French Dispatch is one of my favorite movies this year, but it's just that lo-fi, the kind of smaller stories, I guess I'm always drawn to. And that's not a fault of the bigger stories. I guess it's just what I connect to. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess when my daughter Mallory gets a little older, I should have named her Murph, but I might be feeling that more. But I will say, the finest acting moment in any of his films. I mean, there's a lot of them, but it's got to be his crying scene.
Man.
Because listen, Tenet and Dunkirk are great, but they're not really about the performances. I think Guy Pearce has to be in there. I mean, Joey Pants in Memento too.
Yeah.
I think there's some strong work in Prestige. I mean, Heath Ledger. It's got to be like a toss up between like a Heath Ledger moment and a McConaughey between those two. Yeah.
Yeah. Jessica Chastain is really.
Oh, she's so good. Yeah.
And who's actually really good in Interstellar in like a very, very brief part is Casey Affleck.
Mm-hmm.
His brief role where he's talking on the screen as the son. And did you know that it's Timothée Chalamet plays Casey Affleck's character like when he's younger?
Yeah, the little guy. Yeah.
I didn't realize that until recently.
He's been kicking around for a while.
That guy's on fire right now.
Dune. Have you seen Dune?
Not yet. I read the book this year, and I've been dying to see it. So I gotta get on that. Dude, you saw it? It was.
Oh yeah, dude. The amount of wool moments are just gonna blow your mind. It's beautiful looking. Amazing. It's pretty cool. It's kind of pretentious, but I'm part of a critic group, and I got a Blu-ray screener of Dune. And that's the only you only get DVDs for screeners, which is fine. I don't take anything for granted. That's all great that they're sending them to me. I'm not complaining, but Denis Villeneuve was like, you're not sending out DVDs. Like, I told Warner Brothers, like, you're sending out Blu-ray screeners. Like, send out. So yeah, but I'm excited to kind of tear into it again and watch it. See those sandworms on my TV. But this was good. Hey, thank you so much for joining me, man. This was a fun episode. I'm glad we got to unpack this. This was great.
Yeah, thanks, man. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. So I know the Movies, Films, and Flicks community were excited about this one, and I really appreciate you having me on to talk about it.
And I'm just glad we got to. I mean, this movie's been talked about ad nauseum. Like, it's just there's so much out there about this. So I'm glad we got to talk about the themes. Like, I think we added something different to the discussion. And I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you.
All right, Phil. Well, if you will enjoy this episode, so go back and listen to Never Back Down, which was I'm not gonna say a surprise hit, but it's been a big hit for Movies, Films, and Flicks. which
I love that movie. Like I
yeah,
said at the end of that episode, that movie has such a special place in my heart. So I'm glad. I'm glad that people are digging it. Never back
Jaimin
down. Who would
Hunsu,
have
man,
known?
Jaimin Hunsu. And also, I feel like if these were MMA fighters, Christian Bale's character would be what, Charles Oliveira right now, who
Yeah.
is just steamrolling people and coming back and just looking beautiful. And then Jackman's Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
Both great fighters, both champs.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be my comparison right there. Like,
Well, I mean, and they do both have like, the broken leg and all of that in common as well, right? So yeah,
yeah,
that's a good call.
that's fun. But no, thank you so much for joining me, Phil.
My pleasure. Anytime.
So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, from Phil Briggs, this is Movie Sons and Flicks. We'll see you next week.